I'll put it on speaker now. Can you hear that? Can you hear yourself back, or is it all right? Okay.
You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
Yeah, it's a bit rubbish in there and it's really hot and nothing really works, but
when you're sharing stages that they played back in the day, it's kind of like, we can do that as well.
Summer berries.
Hello, welcome to Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, your go-to place for new music recommendations, and we are deep into festival season. The events are coming thick and fast, and so are the Freshly Squeezed festival specials, as we pick some of our favourite fezzies and some of our favourite bands playing those fezzies as well. Kendal Calling on this week's episode, and 3 bands from that lineup I think are a little bit special. Today, you're going to hear from the brilliant Birmingham band, the quote-unquote biggest unsigned band in the UK, The Claws. Some big news from them coming on today's podcast. You're also going to hear from one of my favourite Mancunian up-and-comers, The Guest List.
I heard a scream, I heard your voice, says Mary, you're tired, so tired.
More of that brand new tune from them later on the podcast. But we're going to kick off with another band that I'm hoping might have a little bit of special news for us, because we're going to speak to the Covasettes, and in particular Chris from the Covasettes. How you doing, mate?
Good to see you back again. A different format, same person.
Slightly different place, same old shtick, basically. So we're here to talk about Kendal Calling, in particular the Woodland stage. Now, I've never been to Kendal. What's the vibe like there, particularly on the stage you're going to be playing?
Well, we played there last year for the first time, which is nice to be back this year because it means that we've made an impression. Because some festivals we haven't been invited back to. No, it's really cool. It's a little bit like Why Not? Right. Festival. Really cool, really good vibe. But last time we opened up the stage on the Thursday, and I flew back from my sister's wedding, but the flight was delayed. So I literally had to leave my luggage at the airport, like on the conveyor belt because it hadn't come through yet, leg it out, get in a car, drive to Kendal, and I got on stage 1 minute early. Like I walked on, put my pack in my trousers, like my in-ears pack, and walked on. So I've got memories of stress. but now I'm excited, and the Woodland stage, I'm told, is pretty cool as well.
Do you still have the messages that you got from the band leading up to kind of the set time starting? Because I imagine your phone was just going nuts with kind of, where the fuck are you, Chris?
Yeah, no, it's a funny point. I never thought about that, actually. I should probably make a video about that because, it was carnage. It was like, we have to pull the gig. Like, should we let them know? We had it was an absolute nightmare. And I think my girlfriend drove us. Loads of the gear for the lads was in her car as well, and she was picking me up from the airport. So, in fact, I'll release those images in the wake of this.
Nice. Keep an eye out. So I was looking at the lineup for the festival, and as far as I can tell, you were on straight after James Walsh from Starsailor, who is not only a lovely man, but he's also a bit of a musical legend. Is that something, when you see that kind of thing, that makes you go, wait, what? How did this happen?
Well, I didn't know that. Now I'm nervous. I tend to not look at anything like that and just go for it. Oh, really? Are we? All right, I've got to make an impression then. Yeah, I mean, it's probably good, or it could be a bad thing. So everyone's going to watch him and go, "Ooh, look at these lot clear out." But it is cool. I still get a lot of imposter syndrome from sort of stuff we get, just because we've been going out for like 8 years now. So when we get a decent slot, or I think more so the last year or two, we've started turning up to these festivals, and I'm being like, hang on a minute, like when it said main stage at 3, I thought it was going to be like the gates opened at 4, but then now it's the last year or so, it's like, oh, hang on, this is rammed, or like this is really busy, or we're on just before the headliner. So it's nice to be getting good, decent slots now, and I'm sort of like, oh yeah, finally, because we did so many years of playing it like even like just opening up, but before anyone's even in. So it feels good, but I still find it weird.
I want to talk to you about Coldplay, not because they're on this year's Kendal lineup, but they are a band that you have previously cited as a favourite, bit of an inspiration as well. And Coldplay are one of those bands that they get a tough time, or as much of a tough time as being one of the biggest selling artists on the planet can get. But quite often in kind of musical circles, they're not seen as cool, inverted commas. So I guess it's kind of 2 questions. One, do you feel like you're going out on a bit of a limb as a band, kind of going, yeah, we like Coldplay, they're our band, they're our musical inspiration? Secondly, what is it you take from them? What do you see in them that you take through to the Covasettes?
Well, firstly, I think being a band that also aren't typically seen as cool, I think that's my closest thing to latch onto. Like, I'm like, if they can do it, we can. I guess no. You know what? I think with Coldplay, it's like I'd say now. I don't know whether you agree or disagree, but I'd say they get less stick these days than they used to because now kind of people can't really argue with it anymore. They're sort of like, well, they are where they are, and Chris Martin, I guess, has calmed down a little bit, isn't he? He's not doing his weird stuff anymore, and so I guess for me, it's like the performative element of their shows and the way that he sort of gets his songs across and the sort of tricks that you do in their music, which I've always really liked. So I think I take a lot from that. But I'll also take back my comment about not being cool. I think we're medium cool.
I was looking at your social media and you were on TV recently, or not, you weren't on TV, but one of your tunes got featured on Love Island. What tune was it?
It's a song called The Memory Chaser, which is my favourite song. But when we put it out as a single, I think only about 6 people liked it. And then finally, it's come round again properly now.
How does that happen? How do you end up as an artist with a song put on Love Island? Do you submit it via some process? Is it sitting in a bank of music that TV shows can use somewhere? Just like, how does that even come about?
To be honest with you, I don't even know myself these days. We have like a licensing deal where they push your music out with 100 other songs to companies. But it was last season that they said, "Oh, we like this," and the only thing I heard was Memory Chaser might get played at Love Island last season. Not that I'm an avid fan, but So I watched it every single night, thinking, "Come on, come on," and then it never come on. And then we were playing in Portsmouth last week, and my manager puts on the festival, so I brought him out on stage for everyone to cheer on him, and then he went in my ear, "Oh, we've just been played on Love Island," which to some people isn't a big deal, but okay, I do like Love Island. So I was like, get in. Then I come off stage and my phone was just blown up because like my girlfriend at home she'd been watching it, and obviously we had no idea it was going to come on. So she was like, what on earth? And I'm hoping my ex-girlfriend was watching it as well. So she was like, oh, fuck off.
Right, before you go, I know there is news coming. I don't know what I can say and what I can't say or what's in the pipeline. So I'm just going to ask you a very vague question and I'm hoping you're going to fill in the blanks. So Chris, what have you got in store for the rest of the year?
Well, because it's you, I'll give you all the exclusive.
Go on.
We've been working on and still are finishing. Well, we've finished our debut album, and we've been waiting for. I pushed it back for years and years because I wanted to get to a point where I felt like we could maybe jump off, and go a little bit. So after the last tour and we sold all that out, I thought, right, album time. We've been writing it since October last year, and then we finished it all in maybe March, April, which our manager and now agent, would you believe it, are fuming about because they wanted it in 2 or 3 months. So you can't rush perfection. And we recorded it all ourselves, so it's taken extra long because obviously Jamie, bless him, our bass player who does all the recording, is also fried because he's done everything. But so working on that and hoping to release that sometime next year, I suspect it will be. But so yeah, a lot of work to do. I, in a way, feel like the band's career is just beginning, but I'll be sending it to you and bombarding you with it, trying to get back on the pod for one last hurrah.
I definitely can't wait to hear that. Is it mostly new stuff? Because you've got a few EPs under your belt as well. Have you plucked a few bits from that to bring into the album, or is it all 100% kind of fresh?
I was tempted because it makes it a bit easier. So I'll just put that one in there. It's good. But I've gone all new, all fresh. I thought let's do something, 12 songs completely fresh. And you know what? I listened to it today because we got some mixes back, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be decent, I reckon. And I normally go off songs pretty quick and decide that I don't like them. But these album songs I think are actually genuinely really good. So yeah, I'm excited, and I hope we can smash it with the first album because you don't want to mess it up, do you? Like I've had sleepless nights about a bad first album, so I think I'm there.
It's the cliche, isn't it? You can only make your first album once.
Yeah, and if it's bad, then I'll just take it down and pretend it's the second one was the first.
Change your name and do it all again. Change the band name. Start again. Rip it up.
The band name's pretty bad as it is.
Chris, lovely to speak to you as always. Cheers for coming on. Good luck for Kendal as well, and really excited about the album next year. We will definitely chat when that's on the horizon. But what do you want to play on Freshly Squeezed? I guess you can't play anything off the new album, so pick something from the back catalogue, something that's a bit of a festival banger.
Maybe my song Love in Polaroid, which I think we came on your old radio show to play an acoustic when it first came out, so I thought it's nice to plug it still on the new podcast. But yeah, thanks for having me, and you're a legend. Thank you.
So it's on, and you stole the heart that they said was made of stone. You're lighting me up, now I glow, and I'm wrapped around your finger. Now you know memory
That will be one of those songs that goes down a storm when Covasettes play Kendal Calling this summer in just a week or so's time. If you want to see when they're going to be playing as well as the full lineup, links in the podcast description as always, as well as links to all the bands that feature on today's episode. By the way, if you want to get in touch with the podcast, there's loads of ways you can do it. You can do it via social media. Find me there, Mr_Jimbob on Twitter, Mr. Jimbob's Eyes on Instagram, and you can leave a review or a comment in your favourite podcasting app with your musical tips, and I promise I will check them out there. But right now, a band that, if you are familiar with the new music scene, you will have heard of or come across at some point, because they've been tipped for big things for some time, and they will be playing Kendal Calling. Pierce from The Claws on the podcast. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm really good, Tar. First up, big important question in case people are going to the festival. When are you playing? Where are you playing?
We're playing on the Sunday. You know what? I actually don't know what stage it is.
Right.
I don't have a clue what stage it is, but I know we're playing on the Sunday.
Dangerous period of this festival to be playing the Sunday, because there is the temptation to overindulge on the Friday and the Saturday and not be fit for the Sunday. How do you stave off that risk?
To be honest, like, we don't really stave off that risk when we've done weekends at festivals. But I guess that's all part of it. Do you know what I mean? Being part of a festival, you've just got to go with the crowds there, and everyone's in the same state of mind on a Sunday. It's kind of your job to pick everyone back up, really, isn't it?
You're old hands at this now, as you say. You've played a few festivals down the lines. Do you have one that stands out in memory as the festival performance from the band so far, the pinnacle that you want to reach again?
Oh, that's a good question, actually. It's a tough one to pick, because obviously we've had the pleasure of being invited to most of the festivals up and down the country. I think a big highlight for us was playing the main stage at Isle of Wight a couple of years ago, which was our biggest slot at the time, just with all the greats that have graced that stage over the years in its long history. That was a big moment for us, but we're looking forward to playing Kendal and adding that to the list, because it's our first time there, actually. So yeah, you never know. Come August, that might be our best one.
I want to rewind a little bit to the last time I spoke to you guys, which was back in December. And at that period, you were halfway through your UK tour. It was your biggest tour to date, massive venues, biggest thing you've done as a band so far. At the time, when we spoke, you said it had been the best 2 months of your life at that period. Did it remain that way? Did the rest of the tour pan out as you intended?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we weren't lying when we said that. It was such a great end to the year last year, going out on tour and touring our last EP, Weekend Millionaire. Yeah, it was wicked. We capped it off with a gig in Paris at the end of it after the whole UK tour. So it was a mad couple of months and a mad year last year, but it was all kind of spearheading towards this year, which is our album year, and it's kind of our last step of evolution up to this stage. So yeah, I mean, anyone who was kind of at the dates on the last tour was part of something good. Capping our UK tour off in Birmingham was massive for us, and headlining the Institute again and just having 1,500 people in a room is something kind of we never even thought was possible when we started this band, and now we're kind of doubling that and going 3,000 this year at the Academy. So yeah, I mean, the stories are endless from the tour. It's a bit of a weird one to look back and recall. Like, it's all a bit of a blur, really. So it's a good job that we documented it on YouTube and stuff, because otherwise, all those kind of good times would just be forgotten in the past.
So the 3,000 people venue that you mentioned a minute ago that you're going to be playing, the Kendal Calling slot, it all supports that quote that goes along with you everywhere you go, that you are the biggest unsigned band in the UK. Is it staying that way for the foreseeable? Are you going to be fiercely independent into the future?
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, I can't tell what the future holds, but certainly for our debut album, that's the way we're gonna do it, and kind of, that's the way we've done it since we started this band. Really, we've kind of been backed into a corner where, against all odds, it probably was never meant to really get this far, but we've brought it this far ourselves. So we're going to take it over the line and get the album done ourselves, which we're really proud of, and there's not really that much of that going around in the industry at the moment. So yeah, we're proud to kind of hold that accolade and still be fucking matching everyone else.
I want to come back to the album thing in just a moment, but A little while ago, I spoke to Finn from Stone, and he talked about his label experience and how it hadn't been a good experience for the band. They maybe been forced into doing things they didn't want to do and not making the music they wanted to make. I know you guys had a record deal right back in the early days. Is part of the reason that you are independent at this stage, and I'm sure there have been offers on the table, but you've kind of like, the reason you do want to keep it your thing, is it because of those experiences with the label in the first instance?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. I actually seen Finn at Sound City this year, and I seen his post a couple of weeks after that about their label issues. And yeah, I think it's really interesting insight for people who aren't kind of clued up on the ins and outs of everything behind the stage, of how kind of the glitz and the glamour of the industry. It's not all as it seems on social media and stuff, and you know, they've kind of had it rough with their label deal, and it was quite refreshing to hear him talk about that and be really open and honest. So yeah, I've got massive respect for that. But for us, it was kind of a little bit of both. As a little bit of scar tissue. We were kind of with Universal. We signed with them like 2 months before the pandemic hit, just after we got going. And they kind of run out of money during the pandemic. It wasn't really kind of their fault, or you know, they kind of left us high and dry. It's just the way that things fell over that period of time. But it did set us back a few years, and we kind of lost the rights to our biggest song at the time, and we kind of spent a couple of years after that just trying to start again, basically. So yeah, you can fall victim to the way the industry works sometimes, but you can't really let it get the better of you, and that's kind of why we've decided to do this album ourselves, and we feel that we've put all the graft in and got it to this stage, and it's all down to us. So we kind of want to do our debut album ourselves. We feel like we owe ourselves that.
So new music out a couple of weeks ago, Alicia, your second tune of the year that's released. I was going to ask whether it was going to be standalone or whether it's going to be an EP, but you've dropped plenty of hints. It's going to be from a debut album, I'm going to assume.
Yeah, the album's out on the 17th of October this year. Yeah, it's something that we never really thought was possible. We started this band coming out of college just with the intention of putting some gigs on for our mates and like playing a bunch of our favourite covers in and around Birmingham. Like, it was never meant to be serious, kind of hence the title of the album, Victims of a Casual Thing, which is a little bit of a, you know, I mean, it can mean anything to anyone, but for us it kind of alludes to the fact that, you know, we are victim to this beast we've created for ourselves. But the second single off the album that's just been released, Alicia, I mean, I think it's our best song yet. It's definitely my favourite.
Nice. Promise me you'll come back and chat to me when the album's released, because I want to know how it's going to feel to actually have it in your hands in vinyl form and kind of look at your debut. You need to talk to me about that. So we'll pick up again in a few weeks' time. But before I let you go, I found an interview you did back in 2020 when you hinted in this interview that you, as a band, were laying the foundations for a new musical genre. I don't know how tongue-in-cheek this was. And you called it disco rock. I think from that point, your sound has changed a little bit. So I just wondered if you wanted to coin a new musical phrase to describe what this new album is going to sound like. What is the debut going to sound like if you had to give it a new musical genre?
But yeah, that's quite funny to hear. I think I do remember us saying that at one point or another. I guess that's the naivety in talking. It didn't quite work out that way. But yeah, to be honest, like I don't think, obviously we're a product of the record collections that we grew up on, whether that's from the 70s, the Rolling Stones, like the Doors, through to the 80s, and all the bands like the Human League and synth pop that was running through that era, into the 90s and Britpop and the music that started us off during the noughties in our childhood. We're a combination of all of those influences. Like we really are a product, as I said, of like our parents' record collections that we, you know, grasped onto when we were kids. So I think the album in itself, like, it's not as straightforward as, you know, just saying it's an indie album. When people hear it, there's so many deeper undertones that run through it. It is obviously an indie rock album at its core, but there's a lot of hidden treasures in it that come from a lot of our musical interests. So I don't think it's really defined by one genre, but I guess that's up to the listener to find where they place it in their head.
Nice one. Well, I'm excited to hear it when it arrives. Good luck for Kendal Calling in a couple of weeks as well. And we're going to play second single from that debut album that we've had, Alicia, on Freshly Squeezed. Pierce, nice one.
Thank you, mate.
It's a worst kept secret when it comes to my heart. The discography is full of false starts. Yeah, I've dipped my toe, but I ain't got past. Moonlit chats in the back of the car. Cause I'm clinging on to memories, sweet 16 when you kiss me round the back of the Weatherspoons leads, and I can't get clear. Baby, did you ever call this love?
The latest tune from The Claws. Now, you heard on the podcast, it will be part of the band's long-awaited debut album, which will be out later this year. That is blooming exciting. By the way, do you want to hear any of the interview that I did with Finn Power from Stone about the general state of the industry and also their fairly negative experience they had with their last record label and how they're moving forward with their next album? And you can find that podcast on the podcast feed. Just spin back, and the Freshly Squeezed list came out on the 14th of May, but it's still relevant, it is still important, it is still brutally honest, and it is well worth a listen. Right, we're going to speak to the final band on this Kendal Calling special edition of Freshly Squeezed. It's one of my favourite up-and-coming bands in Manchester and in the UK at the moment. The guest list, who are currently crowded around one mobile phone somewhere in the city. Good to see you, boys.
Good to be here.
See it?
So I was looking back at the last time we spoke, and way back in January 2023, I noticed that I added the guest list as my ones to watch on a list I had back on the old radio show. I can't quite believe it has been over 2 years since you kind of first popped onto my radar, and it feels like since then it's been a bit of a whirlwind. How does it feel where you are now, standing back and looking at the last 2.5 years and what you've done?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the last kind of 6 months, it's really picked up and got a bit mental. But yeah, it's kind of weird to go from there. At that time, probably we were recording covers in the garage and didn't really know if we had any longevity in it and that kind of thing. But now we're actually, doing it, playing the festivals, releasing the songs, and it feels really good.
Obviously, you have that as an aim when you kind of start out. You go, we want to be on the biggest stages, we want to be playing to the most people. But in those early days, can you remember, did it feel like a tangible thing? Did it feel like it could happen?
I'd say we always believed we'd get there, but the more you find out about how the festivals are organised, it feels like the further away it is to actually getting on stage, because of how political it is with getting on and all the agents kind of battling over getting their acts in and things like that. But yeah, I wouldn't have ever said we'd be here now, a year on, I think.
We probably never thought we were going to play Glastonbury this early. That was a surprise to us, but like a pleasant one.
I want to come on to the Glastonbury experience in a little bit, and I also want to come on to the new tunes, but just looking back slightly at a few of the tunes you've had over the last couple of years and the work you've done with James Skelly particularly. How did that connection come about, first of all? Was that via kind of the Blossoms relationship you have, or somewhere else?
Yeah, so our manager manages Blossoms and also Seb Lowe, and I think tends to feed his acts through to James Skelly because he kind of knows that James has a knack for bringing out kind of that northern sound, I guess, and keeping things authentic.
And we learn a lot from James, like recording wise as well.
I was going to say, because he's got maybe more of a reputation as a producer now than maybe even as frontman of the Corals. And he's built up this hell of a reputation of working with some really strong acts, particularly in the Northwest. What part did he play in kind of developing your sound as a band?
Like arranging, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first song we did with him was Tong.
And he changed that so much.
Yeah, we went into he took us to the Coral rehearsal room, and up to that point we'd never really thought about arranging in the way he laid it out, kind of getting the bass and the drums to sync up throughout the whole song and making sure that everything has its moment but doesn't get too overcrowded in the mix. That kind of thinking I think we got from him.
When we get the ideas for songs, it's easy if you do it all as an artist to have your first idea just be the song the whole way, but having his take on it change them. And you can, like, if you compare London, he did as well, for example, if you compare the first versions of that to the version that he helped us out on and put out on Spotify. It's a completely different song. And
But they're just a lot shorter as well, aren't they? I think there were parts in the songs which maybe dragged out because we played it so much ourselves and been sort of in our own echo chamber a little bit. And he brought something new, made it more suitable for like radio.
So we're talking about Kendal Calling particularly today on this episode of Freshly Squeezed, which is a fairly late one in the run of festivals, and you've already got a few under your belt this year and obviously a few historically as well. I'm interested, and I think you might have hinted at this a moment ago. I want to know what your best festival experience ever has been, and I want to know your worst festival experience ever. So let's start with the best. Was it Glastonbury?
Probably. Why not? I mean, Glastonbury was a strange one because there was the surprise act was
setup,
on,
wasn't it?
when we were on, basically, and the surprise act turned out to be Pulp, which I think kind of crosses over and takes away anyone who was going to see us.
That's a double whammy, isn't it? Because one you're missing Pulp, and the other side is that you're going to play to an empty tent.
Yeah.
But we had good fun playing it, and like
We played well.
the weekend on a whole as well was different to any festival we've been to before. It was our first time for any of us going to Glasgow, so we thought we'd make the whole weekend of it. It was incredible, really.
As well as Kendal, obviously some really exciting stuff happening in the live arena later this year. You've got your headline tour in October. Some really iconic venues on that list. King Tut's, New Century Hall.
Yeah.
Third date now added to Camden Assembly as well. Does it mean more to you when you're taken to the stage in venues that have hosted some of the bands that no doubt will have influenced you previously, and you're kind of standing there going, oh my God, I'm in the place that X band played?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think almost the kind of dingier and crappier the venue is, the more you get a sense of that, because
It's like Hope and Anchor in it, isn't it?
yeah, it just has this kind of aura to it that, yeah, it's a bit rubbish in there and it's really hot and nothing really works, but to know that
Maybe
those
Crappy's not
big
the right-
bands,
Maybe more like raw, like intimate,
Authentic.
yeah.
Like when we
Rustic.
did Hope and Anchor, which was 2 summers ago. It was like 60 people in the basement, and we sold it out, which we were happy with. But then chatting to their sound guy about bands that played there.
U2 played there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joy Division.
Joy Division. When you're sharing stages that they played back in the day, it's kind of like, we can do that as well.
In terms of that third date in Camden, that must feel like a real stamp of approval. Because I remember in the early days of Cortinas, for example, they could pull in massive crowds in Manchester, but struggle to fill a room outside of the city. But you're already picking up those fans from outside of Manchester. Is this something you've kind of consciously engineered, or does it feel like you've just kind of like managed to build a bit of momentum in those places?
yeah, it's been something we've really wanted to focus on because, like you say, bands from up north occasionally get trapped up north and kind of struggle, even if they become massive round here, to generate that following elsewhere. So it is in some ways, I guess, conscious to try and make sure that we've got a balanced fan base across the UK. But I don't know whether it's because of anything we've done particularly or just because the songs we've got kind of appeal more widely and don't feel like they're trapped in the northern sound.
We're going to finish with your new tune, Mary. Now, I was told by your management that I need to ask you about the inspiration behind this song, and so that's what I'm going to do. Go for it. I genuinely don't know anything about this, so I want you to tell me. I'm expecting something good here.
Wow, okay. No pressure. Well, it's quite an old song. I first wrote the chorus around 3 years ago, and we've been playing it in multiple different versions since then. It took quite a long time to get to the finished version. But the inspiration behind the lyrics is basically a story of a mum talking to her daughter when the daughter's grown up. The daughter's called Mary, about the abuse that the mum had suffered when Mary was a girl, basically. And it's just meant to focus on them kind of coming together and uniting over it, I guess.
Wow. It's a great tune. I really like it. There's a little touch of the Mancunian in there. There's a bit of Stone Roses, but I can also hear influences from the Strokes in there. And then it's got this kind of retro Vietnam war film style filter over it. So I really like it sonically as well. Really looking forward to getting it on Freshly Squeezed. But the guest list, thank you very much for coming on, and see you in the fields.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Flowers in the dawn. 1 minute here, then he was gone. The neighbors rang, they rang.
That is Mary. It's the brand new tune from the guest list, and it wraps up today's Kendal Calling special edition of Freshly Squeezed. If you're heading to the festival, right there, 3 recommendations from this year's Kendal Calling lineup. Yes, you've got the headliners. Yes, there's some big names, but these are the bands that you're going to be able to brag about to your mates in 4 years' time when they're playing headline slots on the big stages and go, oh, I saw them when they were just starting out. I was ahead of the curve on that one. If you want to find more of their music, then check out the links in the podcast description. Also, if you've missed any of the festival special shows so far, go back and listen to them, because they're not just for people who are going to the festivals. There's some brilliant musical recommendations, exclusives, and new music in there for just fans of tunage in general. Right, that is it for this week's episode. As well as using the podcast review and podcast commenting tools in your podcasting apps to tell us about musical recommendations, also use it to tell us how great we are. Always appreciate a 5-star review, and it helps new people discover this new music podcast. Cheers for your ears. I'll see you next time.
Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Salveson. Sound design and additional production by Ant McGinley. Theme music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class. Stop.